Hi there, welcome back to the third deck for this week, and we're still looking at the Ether Drift Legends, and we're getting to the end now. There's this one tomorrow, and probably one next week, but there'll be a lot of announcements on the start of next week's video on Monday, so better watch out for that. But anyway, today, Hazoret, Godseeker, 1 and a red for a 5/3 God, indestructible and haste. Has start your engine, so we're looking at going at max speed again. Has 1 and tap, target creature with power 2 or less can't be blocked this turn. That's fine, but Hazoret can't attack or block unless you have maximum speed. So making things unblockable is pretty good, and that helps us get to maximum speed quite quickly, but we need some extra things to do it. Hasty creatures may spring to mind. So yes, mono red, what else are we going to do? So here we go. Here's what today's deck looks like. So starting at the beginning, Bomat Courier. Yep, we quite like this. Eventually we won't be able to discard our hand and get a whole load of extra cards, but it's got haste. Yes, we lose the odd card, but hopefully it won't be too much of a problem. Then we've got Burnout Brashnaut, sorry, from Ether Drift as well. Has start your engines. Speed, this creature has gets +1/+0 for 2 mana. And then when you have max speed, you have double strike. Powerful goblin. You can expect to see a lot of this in standard over the next few years. Anyway, from there, get rid of the other advert that's just turned up at the bottom. Gingerbrute, just because it was another hasty creature. We can make it so it can't be blocked except by creatures with haste. And if we get really low on life, we can sack it off to gain 3. We've got Kellen, Planar Trailblazer to get in there as well, once we get the max speed on the go. Well, once we get speed on the go anyway, we'll start our engines. Do the whole Fairy Detective, and then maybe the Human Fairy Rogue as well with double strike if we get that far on the levelling up side. Legion Loyalist has fun. It's also a bit of fun in the fact that it gives, if it attacks with 2 other creatures, it gives all the creatures first strike and trample. So yeah, you do get your damage in if you're lucky. End Rider Catalyst. We like this one. Another one that starts our engines for us so we can get there before we get Hazoret down if we need to. And when we hit max speed, we get to add double red. Generous Plunderer. I'm in a mono red deck. It was going to turn up, wasn't it? Has Menace, so does give us some evasion to help us get through to get the speed levels up, but the treasure is always nice. The great thing is with this, it does deal the damage. So give them a treasure token, give an opponent a treasure token, and then you attack that opponent. As long as they haven't sacked that, well, they can't sack it, it's tapped. So they're going to take 1 if you ping them, and if you've got the speed on the go, you do go up 1 that way. So a little bit of a mini combo. Goro to give everyone haste, and then eventually, I don't think we've got any way of modifying things that greatly, but it's the haste that counts, so it's here. Grenzo Havoc Razor is good fun. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, choose 1. Goad those creatures. Keep them going. Just get them away from you while you get to your max speed level. In it, Sensual of the Sun is also here. Whenever you attack, discard a card, put +1/+1 counter on a target attacking creature and gains trample. And then when we discard, we can exile top card of our library and we can play it until our next end step. We all know what it does. Kedis, Emberclaw Familiar. Just here to back up Hazoret when we get Hazoret active. So we can get in with Hazoret on 1 person and then still do the 5 damage to each other opponent. Loyal Apprentice gives us a nice little Thopter token that has haste beginning of combat in each turn. So we can go through the air to get the speed on the go if we need to. Razorkin Needlehead. Not really any way of making our opponents draw cards in our turn. So we can't really help much with the speed generation. But, it does have first strike on our turn. And it does deal a point of damage every time someone draws 1. So, has its upsides. Sear Slicer Goblin, just so we've got a little creature that comes in and when we've attacked, we can get a 1/1 Goblin creature token as well. So that's cool from the raid ability. And because we are playing so many Goblins, went back to Foundations and brought out General Crete, the Boltbringer. I still like this card. It's still a great deck I've got built. I've been playing it for a lot of fun recently on Magic Online and upsetting people. So yeah, keep it here. But it does have the side effect that it does have the inbuilt impact tremors. So, Hazoret turn 2, this turn 3, another creature turn 4. Yep, give yourself a goblin, have a damage, let's go. Goblin Surveyor comes in, another one that starts your engines, has trample, and then once we've got maximum speed, we can exile this card from our graveyard to draw for 3. Goblin War Chief's in as well, just to cut down the cost for the goblins, because like I said, there's a few we've played, so we might as well have a slight cost reduction on them. Hanwar Garrison, we have got the other half in here as well with the Hanwar battlements, the land will be coming up shortly. But when it attacks, we get 2 red human creature tokens into the battlefield, taps and attacking. And then maybe we can get it transferred into the Writhing Township, which will make everyone a little bit... Hull Squad Heavies, another one of the goblins coming in. This comes in from Ether Drift as well. Has start your engines as well. Oh, sorry. Other goblins, we have haste. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a 1/1 goblin red creature token, and that token attacks this turn if able. And once we hit max speed, we get to tap it and add red mana for every goblin we control, which I'm not going to complain about. One way of modifying our creatures, if we need them to get our 5/5 out with Goro is to put the battle armor on them. +2/+2 and menace. And whenever it deals combat damage for player, goad each creature that player controls. Yeah, I've got the reconfigure costs a little bit high at 4, but yeah, it's still there as a doable thing. Lalia, the Blade Reforged, is a nice target for the first time you want to make something unblockable to get this through. And then Professional Facebreaker is always something we can get through with tapping Hazoret if we haven't got to max speed yet. And the treasure tokens are very nice. Subra, Tulizidi Caravana. Just 1 mana to make target creature with power 2 or less unblockable for all intents and purposes. And yeah, if we need to discard our hand whenever a creature you control with power 2 or less deals with damage to a player, draw a card. It happens. Emberwild Captain, because I like being the monarch and we haven't had it for a while. And this one I do like because when people attack you, they take damage equal to the number of cards in their hand. Endringer Spike Spitter is also in, another start your engines card, and this one's got reach, so we get a little bit of flying defense, which is nice. It's only a 3/4 for 4 mana, so not great, but it's doable reach. I've accepted it. And the max speed, you get to exile top card of your library and play that card this turn if you want to. Enduring Courage is here. Now, people are going to wonder why this is here, because it does the whole +2/+0, gives something haste, which probably takes it out of Hazoret's range if you let it resolve. But this does go on the stack as a creature comes into play. So if you've got a creature that's got power 2 or less, you can tap it so it can't be blocked. That should stay. So if I understand my magic rules correctly, that should stay there, so that'll be the first thing to resolve, so that creature can't be blocked this turn. And then we can still get the +2/+0, and I think, if I've done it right in my head, I haven't tested this bit yet because I added Enduring Courage in after I've done the testing, I'll be honest. If I've got it right in my head, we're still getting with our newly powered up creature for unblockable damage, so yeah. Hazoret, the Fervent one, does help us out no end with this deck, because we want to get the start the engines thing on you go. We can just play this out and then pay 3 mana to discard a card to do 2 damage to each opponent. So it does mean you've got a solid way of getting your speed on the go each turn. Jaxis, the Troublemaker, is here. We can create token copies of another creature you control. It gains haste, and then when it dies, draw a card, and you have to sacrifice at the beginning of the next end step. So we'll go with that. Another one that makes sure we get the damage in, Porphyros, God of the Forge, not going to talk about him. Torben, the Thane of Redfell, is also in to make sure the damage is even more. And then the last 2 cards were a little bit of fun. Calamity, Galloping Inferno, very easy to saddle and attack, and then when we make it attack, we can get a copy of a non-legendary creature, so I'm happy with that. And then create an attacking Coast as a copy of it. Sacrifice that token at the beginning of the next end step. Repeat this process once. Yeah, okay then. I'll live with that plan. Especially since we've got Overlord or the Boiler Barges here as well. Copies coming in. Yeah, okay. We can do with that as well. Right. Anyway, spells. Glimpse from Tomorrow, just for a little bit of fun and games. You can drop this out and put another mass removal spell in if you want to. I just like playing Glimpse when I can, and this seemed like a fun deck to have it in. Then we've got Lightning Bolt, Lightning Strike for some direct damage, Thriller Possibility for some card draw, Chaos Warp for a little bit of board control. Godseeker's Will is also in for the extra red mana in the cards. Big Score for some another draw and discard if we need to. Chain Reaction for the board control. Unexpected Windfall to do the whole draw cards and get some treasures. Managiza to help us cast all our stuff when our opponents have tapped out entirely and give us a whole load of red mana. Then Full Throttle. This card has been slated a lot, I believe, by most people, but I think it has a home here. We like having the additional combat steps, and especially if we've got things like Calamity on the board, or Overlord or the Boiler Barges is on the go. makes sense to have this here. The last bit of control, Blasphemous Act, wouldn't be a red deck without it. Artifacts, ramp and a little bit more ramp with a couple of bits and pieces in between. So Mox Tantalite, Soul Talisman, the Elixir to shuffle everything back in. This is back, unlike well, a deck that you may not see it in tomorrow. Soul Ring, Fire Diamond, Lightning Greaves to protect some of our creatures we want to keep around. Mind Stone, Ruby Medallion, Thought Vessel for more ramp basically. Hazoret's Monument, so we can do the whole rummage, I think we call this one, don't we? Discard then draw, so rummage effects and cut the cost of our creature spells down, which is nice. Have this in play, it means Hazoret costs 1. That's fine. Heraldic Banner just pumps up all our red creatures and adds 1 red when we get there. Pyromancer's Goggles is in. We do have ways of adding red mana, which is nice. And yeah, we've got a fair few spells that you could benefit from copying off the Goggles if we get there. Throne of Eldraines, we're playing a monocolour deck, might as well have this here. And one other bit of equipment is the Embercleave. Yeah. +1/+1, double strike and trample and auto equip when it comes into play. Okay, I'll cope with that. Enchantments, well, since we've got to get to maximum speed, Impact Tremors seem to make a lot of sense to me, so it's here. Then we have Kickoff Celebrations. We can discard a card and draw 2 when this comes into play, and then if we get to maximum speed we can sacrifice this, so all our creatures and vehicles we control gain haste. A little bit of card sorting, another way of just getting the start your engines on the go basically. Outpace Oblivion is also in a start your engines, but this deals 5 damage to a creature or planeswalker when it comes into play, and then you can sacrifice it off to deal 2 damage to each player who doesn't have max speed, which obviously helps you build up your speed again. Core of Embereth, just because I wanted some little tokens come into play and I like being the monarch. And then Gratuitous Violence and City on Fire to make sure we get a whole load of damage on the go from both of these once we get them in play. And finally, the Charred Foyer and Warp Space, so we can either exile the top card of our library and hopefully we can get the Warp Space up and running so we can pay 0 for one of the cards that's been exiled instead of its mana casting cost when we cast it from exile. Lands wise, 34. I mean, we are quite low on the curve. I know there's some bigger numbers up here, but the curve's sort of like 3-ish. So we've got some of the lands that let's go and get mountains and gain a little bit of life. They're all in. Then Castle Embereth to pump our team up. The Hanwag Battlements is there. Target creature gains haste, and then if you own both of them if you own and control both the battlements and the garrison, you can exile them and meld them into the township for 5 mana and a tap. I'm fine with that plan. Hellion Crucible is something you don't see that often in any deck, but putting a pressure counter on here, then getting a 4/4 Hellion with haste could be useful. Again, we don't see Lotus Field very much, but I figured this deck we probably had the possibility of sacrificing off 2 lands and then having this tap for 3 mana of red every turn, which, yeah, especially since it's hexproof, I thought it was quite good inclusion here for a change. Miko for the card draw, 20 mountains, Myriad Landscape to get those mountains out, Nykthos because we're playing mono, Reliquary Tower, Overlook to gain a bit of life, the Crucible of Defiance to give us a couple of spirit tokens if we need them, Temple of the False God, and because we've got 20 mountains in the deck, it made sense to me to have Valakut the Molten Pinnacle in the deck as well. And that is it. My take on Hazoret is complete. Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. This is just a nice simple deck. You don't need to really think about it that hard. Just play red creatures, attack and hope for the best really. But having the max speed there really does help us out because it means Hazoret can attack and block, and being indestructible with a 5/3 can cause some people some hiccups. So there we go. That's my take on Hazoret. Yeah, that's it for today. Please subscribe if you can. Give me a follow on Twitch and you can see me play the deck out. And yeah, I'll be back very soon with another deck. So for now, take care, be good. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.